if this applies to you. I wonder if this applies to you. I was walking today, as I do a lot these days, and I've been turning something over in my mind. And today it occurred to me that this opportunity and challenge that I feel I'm struggling with in my own life is a small version of the opportunity and challenge that a lot of us feel we're facing in our larger life. So, I wanted to come to you and ask you if it is possible that you are so afraid of whatever it is that you deeply, genuinely desire for your life, that it feels easier to you to turn away from it and accept the stories that other people have about what's possible and what you must do in order to have what you want or hold on to what you already have. And as I often say, if you want to take a moment and pause this recording and tune in to whatever it is, that vision, it can be anything that seems like a heavy lift. It can be anything that feels almost impossible or unrealistic. So pause this, if you would, and find that desire. It might be a vision, it might be a dream. I'm giving you those words because we respond to different words as we're arriving at the same thing. So that's why I like to give different options. So what I would like for us to be able to do is find the ways to bring our dreams to life in spite of all of the voices around us, whether they're our internal voices that are very, very loud or actual external voices telling us what is and is not possible. I want us to work towards developing, creating, building, putting our energy and attention and love and devotion into the vision that we have for our life, because it is incredibly important. And I imagine if you are someone listening to this recording, this podcast, whatever you want to call it, you are someone who has a creative mind when it comes to life. You are someone who thinks about things a little bit differently or a lot differently. You want something more than whatever has been handed to you or offered to you by the external world. And we are at this time facing one of the greatest opportunities and challenges of our lifetime in the form of a world that is falling apart. And I'm going to say it this way, and we can work it out in future recordings, in service to a new way of living, a new way of doing life on planet Earth. And what I am understanding today, and I'm hoping it's an understanding that I can hold on to, but what I'm understanding today is that in our small lives, the things that we want for ourselves, the things that we feel inspired by and desirous of, that also require a tremendous amount, if not all, of our, again, dedication, devotion, energy, and attention, all of our skills and our willingness to develop new skills. The things in our small lives that require that level of engagement and commitment is also being reflected in our larger life as a species, as humanity. And I am wondering how many of us out there are listening to the voices that say the more beautiful life that we desire is impossible, that it's impossible for nations to cooperate with one another, to have friendship between one another, and that it's impossible for individuals and communities and professions and industries, et cetera, et cetera. You don't need me to put all the words to it. You understand what I'm talking about. We have grown up hearing that, wouldn't that be nice? Or that would be really wonderful, or that would be super convenient if the world worked this way, but it doesn't work that way, sweetheart. It's impossible. People just don't blah, 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 fill in the blanks. As I was out examining my brain, because I have an opportunity that I was not, that surprises me. And just to be very vague about it, I have been traveling and I am in an area that I did not expect to fall in love with. And I believe I would like to stay. I'm pretty sure I would like to stay. I would stay if it were easy for me to stay. There is a lot, it's a heavy lift for me to genuinely locate myself in the place that I am in. And as I was going through the list of all of the things that I would have to pull together, all of the skills that I would have to develop, just everything that I would need to do in order to relocate myself, I realized that at least part of my brain is tuned in to the voices of people who would not ever dare or dream to attempt what I'm attempting. It's just a fact of life, right? It's just a fact. There are just certain things that we are each drawn to that the people that, at least some of the people that we are around, would not consider. And so if their perspective on life, if the volume of their perspective on life is tuned up high in our own life, it can be very easy to believe what somebody else says is possible. And that leaves less energy, attention, and drive, perhaps, for what is necessary to create something from the beginning, which takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to generate something. And I think that's probably another recording to talk about what we've gotten used to culturally when it comes to putting effort into planting and cultivating and nurturing a growing thing or a building, a business. You know, I'm talking about all of the ways in which we move from zero to something in life. I do believe that it's fair to say that as a species, in many, many areas of the world, we've gotten used to having some sort of push button relationship when it comes to creating something. So I have also had conversations with people who are very, well, varying degrees of concerned and less concerned about what's happening on the larger world stage, as we like to say. There's so much happening, disruption. And when I say disruption, I am saying that with a belief that it is necessary. It is necessary disruption. I don't know all the reasons why it's necessary, but one of the reasons why I believe it's necessary is because I have grown up all of my life hearing people and institutions and blah, blah, blah say that the way the world works isn't working well. and isn't working for many people, if not most people on the planet. So I believe that what we are experiencing right now across the board is necessary so that we can come up with something better. And there's a lot of people out there who have different ideas about what we need to grow into or develop into or become. Again, add your words to the conversation here. There are plenty of people out there all across the spectrum of like what we'd like to engage with and feel healthy in, and what doesn't feel like what we'd like to engage with and feel healthy in. And with as many people as there are on this planet, there's a lot of different places along that spectrum to fill. So I'm not taking a position on that spectrum right now. What I am saying is we have plenty of examples in our personal lives of a vision that we had for ourselves. Maybe you are someone who has been telling yourself for however long that you need to learn a second language. And the effort that it takes to learn a language and the amount of time and commitment is daunting, so daunting to you that you have not begun that particular project. And let's say you're 15 years into saying that. What I am suggesting is our reluctance, our inability, and whatever other words we can put in there when it comes to not following through on a vision that feels very important to us is also being applied to the greater vision of what life on this planet can be, what life in your community can be, what life in your city, your state, your country, your region, your hemisphere can be if you and the people around who shared a common vision dedicated all of the things that bringing that vision to life would require, including perseverance and the ability to tune out the voices of the people around and the systems and the institutions that cannot see your vision until it's come to life. Understand there are plenty of people on this planet who would love to live in a world where people are not running out of resources and where people are not feeling their lives threatened on a moment-to-moment basis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are plenty of people who would enjoy that world, but they have not been introduced to that world. That has not been their experience. And so they need the vision of people who can believe in that without needing to see it, to pull that thing into the material world long enough for other people to catch on and say, oh, I can see it now. And yes, I agree, I want to participate in that. What help do you need? I think of the I'm going to say it this way, the three versions of creation, or the three versions of the goddess: the creation, the maintenance, and the destroyer. And then it just keeps going in that cycle. And it is all a spectrum itself. But what I'm saying here is there are people who are incredibly good at starting, initiating. We talk about being in this Aries season right now. Just taking the symbolism, the symbolic message of that signature, and recognizing that that quality in all of us is the initiatory, catalyzing quality. We all have it in some area of our life to greater and lesser degrees within ourselves, our personalities. We all have the ability to initiate and catalyze. And then there is some other part of us that has to step in to maintain. And as a larger species, when we look at all of us together, humanity, there are people, individuals within the human family who are particularly skillful at maintaining what has been built. So there's the ones who are exceptional at getting things started, getting the people together, getting the funds together, getting the resources together, delivering the vision, inspiring the folks who are going to put into building the vision and maintaining the vision. There's a group of people who are incredibly good at that, and then they need to move on to something else. But they have sufficiently gathered the energy together so that there's something that the next group of people can come in and sustain. And then there are the people who can see the next level or layer or evolution of that vision. And there are some things that need to be taken away, torn down, removed, dissolved, retired, surrendered, and given gratitude for their participation in the process up to this point. And then something new is made way for. We are in this, we're in this now, like the whole spectrum all at once, and individual pieces of that creation, destruction, maintenance experience individually. In our own lives, we are the ones that have to carry to some degree the entire process. We can ask for help and we need to ask for help, but we have to be the ones to initiate ourselves, to gather our resources, to maintain whatever it is we're building, and then to make decisions about what has served its purpose and needs to be retired so that some new aspect, element, resource, way of being, et cetera, can come in and take us to another level. So, are you someone who has a vision for your life and for what life on earth can be? And are you someone who has been devoting your energy or donating your energy to the versions and vision of life that you do not agree with, that you say you do not accept, but oh well, this is the way it is? I'm not saying this is easy. That's the thing about facing a dream, a desire, or a vision, and then actually having the courage to step into it and ask it what it requires of us, and then show up and do the work of engaging with and developing the vision. This is not an easy thing. This is why today, when today is not the first day that I recognize that this is not easy, but today, when I could see myself struggling through my own situation, and then reflecting on some of the conversations I've had in my communities around what people need to do in order to not feel overwhelmed by all of the emotions that are up for so many of us at this time, I wondered if part of the overwhelm about being so aware and attuned to what's falling apart and what is exploding and what seems so disastrous and dangerous, and this is all real, but we have so much of our attention focused on what is very obvious, that there is less energy available unless we redirect it. There is less energy available to creating the experiences in this life that include other people. So this is the bigger dream for all of us, or many, many more of us. But if we are donating our time and attention and our resources to watching the thing fall, more so than we are dedicating our energy and attention and resources to the thing that we say we want to experience, we will continue to feel overwhelmed and like it's an impossible dream and an impossible task. So I think I'm going to pause there. I feel like I might have left it on a down note. So I want to be clear that what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to encourage you to examine the vision for yourself that you may have abandoned because of the heavy lift, because of the amount of effort it would require of you to actually be able to meet that vision of yourself. And it's not that you need to do anything with it. I have found over the years that often it is just as beneficial to acknowledge something and pay my respects to it. And then there is some sort of third movement. There's something that shifts for me that I would not have been able to shift so well had I gone head first, like I've got to figure this out, I've got to fix this, I've got to do this and that, when I have taken the time to look at myself in relationship to something else. Taking that time has given that experience an opportunity to speak back to me and offer me some guidance. So I encourage you to do that with something that's very personal to you. And then perhaps when you have some recognition of yourself in relation to your own deep personal dream for yourself, it might make a way for you to consider how you might be applying that sort of approach to the larger vision that you might have for what life on earth can be for yourself, your family, your friends, your community, your country. And in either of these settings, private dreams versus the collective family dream, the steps that we take are small steps, most often. And again, when we are able to take time and let an experience speak with us, we will often be directed in those small steps. Yeah, and I will just say this for my American friends listening to this. We have been taught to take heroic steps. We have been taught in our stories that it's not enough to do the small things. And I would really love to encourage you to tap into some of those old fairy tales, because very often it's the small creatures and the small gifts and the small steps, the small things that make a really big difference. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think we'll probably continue this conversation, but I wanted to share that thought with you today. Please, as always, leave your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear how you are and what you're working with. Yeah, what you're working with in these times.